What is a starseed? And some pretty certain signs that you are one. When we talk about a starseed, we are talking about a soul that comes from outer space. And to people who are not necessarily into spirituality, or people who do not believe in reincarnation, or who simply do not believe that there are souls other than that, this might sound a bit weird, but I suspect that since you are in this video, you are somewhat interested, or you are considering this as a possibility. Other than, a soul coming from an outside planet, something extraterrestrial, something outside Earth, or something even outside the galaxy, a starseed can mean, in a way, that a person might even have a non-human soul. And usually this is the case, a soul that is not a human, and it is also from the outer space. And that is the very brief way to describe a starseed soul. When it comes to starseeds, we often come here for specific reasons, of course, because why would aliens come over here? Like they, according to some people, they haven't showed up, but personally, I do believe they are here as we speak. I don't necessarily think that they have not been here or that they are not here. And again, the whole idea of what is an alien is based on mostly sci-fi movies, which I'm gonna get into. That's probably one of the things that you may expect is on the list of signs that you are one. I find that because of the idea of an alien is so much based on this stuff, is that we have kind of a different idea than what it could be, because of course as humans we don't necessarily know for sure what is out there, and that's the exact point of having an extraterrestrial or a galactic soul. It is something so outside of our sort of earthly perception, and therefore it is a bit hard for some people to wrap their head around it. And therefore, to be open-minded when you listen to this is crucial, because technically we all do come from one source. When it comes to that one source, while it is on Earth, personally out of a more animist, viewpoint and belief and experience even, source is all, source is everywhere, and therefore it is also in the galaxies. And we all do come from that, then it would also mean that we are technically all starseeds. But I do believe that, if a person says that they simply do not resonate with this theme or this idea, if they do not resonate with this term or this description, then so it is. Like, not everyone has to, and that's completely fine. There is absolutely no judgment towards that, because this is not a superiority contest or like a specialness type of a contest or anything like that, because we are all unique. Keeping that in mind, let's get on to some pretty certain ways to tell that you are a starseed. Number one is the idea that seeing aliens just walking around on Earth, or aliens themselves, they don't scare you. So you're just like, yeah, aliens are kind of cute, or you might just actually want them to come on this planet. So you're just like, oh, I wonder when aliens are gonna come. And this was totally me as a kid. And you might even track these things down to your childhood. Another sign would be that as a child you were fascinated by the galaxies and the space. And in case you didn't get conditioned on the way, you might have still been in very late in your life and all throughout your life. And the third sign would be that you just like to look at the sky at night when it's dark and the stars are just floating around. That is what I do all the time, especially when the nights start to get darker over here in Finland. I really just cannot stop looking at the stars. And if you do that also, and if you also really like to wander around the earth, you just like to admire nature, that would be, of course, the fourth sign, because as sort of extraterrestrial souls, we find more wonder and more admiration towards the nature. We tend to respect it so much more. And technically that is also a pagan trait, like many pagan people might also find themselves admiring nature loads more than people who just don't believe in this stuff. The fifth sign would be that you are fascinated by futuristic subjects, especially things like technology that's very futuristic, and even some things that might be a bit sci-fi. This might actually even be a future life, or this might even be a past life in, say, places like Sirius or Orion. And I find that even some Arcturians tend to find themselves in the tech field. Even Cetas, that may actually be working more with technology. And the sixth sign here would be about just loving sci-fi films and sci-fi TV shows and all of those type of things that you might have been a fan of. You might have watched a lot of them when we were a kid or when you were young, whatever, and even just these days you might really enjoy those type of things. But sign number 7, besides all of this, you might even have like this fascination with all kinds of paranormal and supernatural phenomenon, even things that's like people haven't really recorded happening, but it's really like just this otherworldly fascination. This is because a lot of starseeds are starseeds are very sensitive to spiritual activity of all kinds. And that is why we do indeed often find ourselves becoming light workers. Not all of us identify with that label necessarily, and they are not equal, they're not the same thing necessarily. But often these link up together quite a lot because many starseeds do resonate at a fairly high frequency and a fairly light-oriented. Now, I don't really want to get into the whole debate of light and shadow over here. That's a whole another topic that I will have to discuss another time. The eighth sign is, of course, being resonating with being a spiritual worker, a healer, or a light worker, or a way shower, whatever word you want to use for that. There might be like just a very strong pull towards a certain mission, and it might be one of these light worker mission stuffs. But there might also be another type of mission, sign number 9. This might be a mission that is again something that might be quite futuristic, that would have to do something to do with helping the humanity or something to do with helping this planet itself. That's the 9th sign, that you may be a starseed, and this mission again might unfold, but again this is not something that we necessarily want to fixate on too much, because again there are many lessons here on Earth for all star species. You might even experience that where you get like very fixated on that mission a lot of the times because it is so important to you and it's such a soul calling. The 10th sign is that aside from possibly facing a lot of paranormal activity, is that you might have a very vivid dream life, or even if you already practice meditation, you might have very vivid visions or vivid sensations. This is again kind of based on the previous ones that I mentioned about just being very much spiritually in tune. The 11th sign is that you might be very drawn to all kinds of mystical and occult things, so things that are very mysterious. You might be very fascinated with just mystery itself. And this could have been a theme even in your childhood as well. There might be something about, being a detective or solving mysteries or just mystical, beings, like unicorns and Pegasus and mermaids and, all of that. So that's another pretty certain sign that you may be a starseed. Sign number 12. So aside from having vivid dreams, you might have some pretty vivid past life memories. And this could even include past life memories in space among other extraterrestrial souls or anything like that. So that might be something that you might remember from a past life, or in some cases, like I know some people have some traumatic past life memories, that could also be a thing. And you could even find yourself often meditating yourself into space and just enjoying. That's kind of the 13th sign, you know. The space is something that is so calming to you, and it's something that, again, it doesn't scare you at all, and you would feel very comfortable just floating in there. The 14th sign that you may be a starseed soul is that you might have felt like an alien or just a weirdo ever since you were a child, and this could have been something that felt almost isolating, and you just felt like you were very different. So that's something that starseeds often feel, and you are not alone with that feeling. And the 15th sign is that sometimes the earthly life and the earthly concerns might be kind of challenging for you, or they might be something that you don't quite understand why humans do certain things that they do. And there's just a lot of things that this could have to do with. So I'm not really going to go into this list, but like just a few things is, you know, politics, money, certain way humans relate to one another, different things like this. So it might be a bit hard to, you know, handle the density of Earth sometimes. And you might actually feel a lot more comfortable when you're very much embodying your higher self and your multidimensional alien levels, and you're letting yourself just kind of float in a more spiritual space and more focused on your spirituality as well. I can say, especially for myself, I have noticed that recently, and that, you know, when I do work with such extraterrestrial frequencies, it almost has this effect where I just need to really stay on it as frequently as I possibly can in order to make sure that I'm balanced. It's like, it's so weird because in a lot of spiritual teaching and spiritual circles, people will talk about the importance of grounding, but for starseeds, it really depends on a situation. Sometimes, maybe for some people, at first and at a certain point in their journey, it is important, but I find that it is important for us to find this out for ourselves also, to really know when the grounding is important, when staying more in the earth realms is important, versus when we should really honor or kind of a nature to be a bit more cosmic, you know. Yeah, the 16th sign would be time travel or weird experiences with time. So I find that especially with a lot of starseed, you might go through a lot of deja vus, or you might even lose the track of time sometimes. So this is something that might also happen. This has been Alvia Crescents. This is my YouTube channel. I use he, him pronouns, and if you want to see more videos like this and also some other mystical topics like astrology and tarot, if you want to see my tarot cards that I made or something else that I create over here, then feel free to subscribe and put on notifications. That way, especially when I go live, you will not miss out on it and we can chat more. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.